Can I start? Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ahmad Belal, the former president of the Egyptian Medical Students Association and a young doctor in Cairo University. Today I'm going to talk to you about my experience as part of the Egyptian Revolution, an event that took place about 9 months ago that changed the life in Egypt since then and forever. I participated in this revolution since its first days. In the beginning, I participated only as a protester, but later, when they needed some doctors in the Tahrir Square, I participated as a doctor in the field hospital there. This gave me a unique experience to see the revolution from a different angle that not everyone has seen it from. 9 months ago, the picture that you are seeing right now is for Tahrir Square, the happiest place on earth at this very specific moment, on the 11th of February 2011, the day when Egyptians at this place succeeded in doing something everybody thought it was impossible. They got rid of a dictator that's thought to be one of the hardest dictators of all time, the former president of Egypt, Hosni Mubarak. This place was like heaven for everyone who was there. People did not believe that they could do this, and they actually succeeded in doing it. But let's journey back a little bit. For those who have slight or no idea about what happened in Egypt, and why it happened, and how it happened, let me give you a brief account from a perspective of someone who was in the heart of that revolution. I'll tell you about why this revolution took place, when and where it took place, how and what exactly happened, and the situation that is currently going on in Egypt. Let's start with why. This is Hosni Mubarak, this one on the left, the former president of Egypt. And this guy with the weird clothes is the former president of Libya, Muammar al-Gaddafi. The former president, yeah, I said the former president. These two, one of them is dead by his own people, and the other is in jail by his own people as well. What they did to their people was undescribable, and that's why their destiny is now like this. This guy, Hosni Mubarak, has been the president of Egypt for 30 years, with no elections, with no democracy. He was forced upon his people for 30 continuous years, with the ruling of a dictatorship, a true dictatorship, with emergency law forced upon Egyptians for 30 years. Not only that, he dealt with Egypt and Egyptians as if they were heritage, as if it was his property. He wanted to hand it to his son, Gamal Mubarak, after he left the ruling of Egypt. The National Democratic Party was the party that he was the president of, was the party that was ruling Egypt for 30 years, full of corruption in every possible way. So lack of democracy was one of the reasons. The police brutality in Egypt was beyond the imagination. The emergency law that was in Egypt for 30 years, gave the right to the police to capture whoever they want, whenever they want, with no given reason, and for the duration that they want. This emergency law was supposed to be there to fight terrorism, but it was there for 30 years of emergency. These are some small examples of the results of the police brutality in Egypt. This photo was just a couple of days before the revolution started. This is how the police dealt with Egyptians. These people are not criminals, they are just protesters. This is Khalid Said. This guy is from Alexandria. He was killed by the police in the middle of June 2010. His death is one of the main reasons that triggered the revolution. He was killed by a policeman who killed him with no reason. and the whole media of Egypt, and all the police departments covered for him. And they even made rumors about the guy that he's an addict and stuff, and that he's escaping from the military service just to ruin his reputation so that it's an excuse for them to kill him. This is the building of the National Democratic Party on the 28th of January. This is how people of Egypt felt about this party. They hated it to the extent that they did set it on fire the day they could. Is the presentation obvious with the lights and everything? You can see? Okay. One of the main ways of corruption in Egypt was the corruption of the media. What's written here is that this is the title of one of the main newspapers of Egypt. It says, "Egypt is strong and Britain is falling." I have no idea why they wrote this, but this is one of the reasons that the revolution has been in Egypt, because of the corruption in the media. They were covering for all the ministers that were ruining Egypt in every possible way. I have no idea why. This was written just 2 months before the revolution. This is one of the reasons that the revolution was made. The last reason, and among others, was the low socio-economic level and poverty that the Egyptians have reached. During the past year, or the past 2 years before the revolution, the poverty in Egypt has increased double before the revolution, before 2007. This is the flag of Tunisia. These were the people who triggered the revolutions in all the Arabic world. These are the guys who inspired all of us. Okay, when and where? The revolution started on the 25th of January 2011. In Egypt, the 25th of January is supposed to be the day of the police. They celebrate the achievements that they did throughout the past year in this day, and all of Egypt take the day off as a vacation to celebrate with the police. So this is the Al-Ahram newspaper. It's one of the main newspapers in Egypt. On the 25th of January morning, it says that people of Egypt are celebrating with the police and distributing chocolates and roses on the policemen in the streets. Everybody knew that there was a revolution going on, and there is something big was going to happen this day, and the newspapers was just covering it as if nothing happened. This is one of the very popular pictures, the flag of Egypt combined with the flag of Tunisia, just days before the revolution, that this is how we were inspired. Where? The revolution took place in every city in Egypt. This is one of the main cities in Egypt. This is Alexandria, by the sea. The sea is occupied by protesters. There's this scene I have never seen except these days. And of course, the heart of the revolution was Cairo, or Tahrir Square. Tahrir Square is the middle of Cairo, exactly the middle of Cairo. So if it's blocked, Cairo is dead. No one can pass from anywhere to anywhere in Cairo as long as this square is blocked. This amount of people that have reached some days, as it's mentioned, 2 million people at one place, this never happened before in Egypt at any time. Not only in Egypt. Protests for the Egyptian revolution were extending from all over the world. This was in front of the White House in Washington, USA, and in other European countries, the revolution, Egyptians everywhere were participating in the revolution as much as they could. But still, it has been always Tahrir Square that has been a community by itself and making the heart of the revolution. How was the revolution organized? This revolution is said that it's the internet revolution and the electronic revolution of the century. It's said by the protesters who organized the first events of the revolution that we used Facebook to schedule our protests, Twitter to coordinate them, and YouTube to tell the world about them. That's exactly what happened. And that's why, on the 28th of January morning, the internet of Egypt was cut throughout all Egypt, because the police and the National Democratic Party and the rulers of Egypt knew how strong a tool this can be. What actually happened? Some of these shots I shot myself when I was there in the middle of the protest. This was the 25th of January. Everyone was trying to reach Tahrir Square, the heart of Cairo, and they were blocking it in every possible way. We used all the sidewalks, all the side streets that we could, just to reach the place, and it was always blocked. Some of the people joining, as you see, were joining from the sides of the streets. They were not planning to be part of this revolution or these protests, but they saw it was serious. People did not believe in the beginning that this could happen. They thought it was just a demonstration for money or for food, and it will end. But as long as it gets stronger, people believed that this could happen, and they kept joining us throughout the streets. This is the way to Tahrir Square. Tahrir Square is at the end of this street. People do not know each other, and they keep chatting and they keep talking. What brought you here? How did you come here? How did you know about this? Why are you doing this? People in the beginning did not believe that they could actually remove Hosni Mubarak from the country. But after what happened in Tunisia, everybody was inspired. The next video might be a little bit in low resolution, but because I got it from the internet, but it shows somehow what happened on the day afterwards.
It's very bad for my government. I haven't food, I haven't anything. Me and my children, I will die today.
This was the 25th of January. As you have noticed, the guy in the beginning has low socio-economic level, but yet he can speak English very well. People in Egypt are educated, not as they tell rumors about them that they are not ready for democracy. They are ready for democracy. Just give it to them. People on the 25th of January were not organized. They did not know what to do. They just went on the streets by their instinct, just to tell what they have, just to express the anger that they have. They were not organized. That's why in the end of the day, the police did actually separate them. Another video for what happened on the 25th of January that shows the brutality of the police and how we dealt with the protests. He actually hit the people with the police car. This was a tear gas bomb. The thing that he was firing on a low level, that was a tear gas bomb. He fired it in the bodies of the protests, not in the air. He fired it in the bodies of the protests. That's how they dealt with us during these days. They were unhuman, and they were doing all their best to protect what they have, because the police and the ruling people of Egypt had the whole country for themselves, and they wouldn't let it go easy. But neither did we. This was the 25th of January. By this time, Cairo has been officially announced as a war zone for what's going on there. All these are tear gas bombs for separating people. And as you see, people were actually separated because they didn't know what to do. But afterwards, during the second 2 days, 26th and 27th of January, they were organized. And then on the 28th, everything happened. This still was 25th. Tahrir Square was getting filled time by time, but not full like every day, like every day in the revolution. Egyptians during these days showed bravery that was hidden inside them for ages because of the fear that was planted by the police and by the rulers inside them to tell them and to let them know that they can never unite behind one goal. But they actually did, and they succeeded in reaching their goal when they were united. Nobody can do this except there in Egypt, in Tahrir Square. The guy with his bare feet is hitting the car, the police car, and driving it back. This was the night of 25th of January. The square is not full like this. This is not the square when it's full. But people were gathering, and people were actually determined to stay there until what they want would happen. The bravery that was shown on this day was indescribable. This is the newspaper of the next day, of the 26th of January 2011. This big title says, "Big demonstrations and protests in Lebanon." Seriously, this is what's written here. And Miqati, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, was ordered to make a new government, and Al-Hariri wants peace, and stuff as if nothing happened the last day. Nothing happened. This is the newspaper of Egypt on the 26th of January. And this side title here is the media expresses a lot of interest in an interview that Al-Ahram made with Habib al-Adli. Habib al-Adli is the Minister of Internal Affairs, the guy that triggered the revolution in the first place because of his corruption. They did an interview with him, and they were very proud of it. This is the 28th of January. This statue is for Saad Zaghloul, a very well-known Egyptian leader. He's pointing towards Tahrir Square. This statue is just 500 meters away from Tahrir Square. This was the amount of Egyptians in the street that day. It was not as peaceful as it seems. Before this video was shot, it was a couple of hours, people were shot dead in this place. In this very place, people were shot dead. Police was trying to block every possible bridge on the street leading to Tahrir Square in every possible means. This is the 28th of January. These people are praying, the Muslim prayer, and they are pointing and shooting water at them. Very unhuman and very disrespectful. And again, this is a tear gas bomb shot directly into the body of people. This is one of the leading, this is the president of one of the leading parties in Egypt now. That's how they capture him. A guy that's like 50 years old, and that's how they deal with him. This is the Saad Zaghloul statue that I was telling you about. And this is how they blocked the bridge leading to Tahrir Square before we actually did break this and pass through. And again, this is the bridge after breaking the ceiling that they made with their cars and with the soldiers. This is Tahrir Square. This is the heart of Cairo at this day. Just like Nero tried to burn Rome, they were trying to burn Cairo. Under any expense, they wanted to stay ruling the country. Again, Saad Zaghloul pointing to Tahrir Square for the people. On the 28th of January, by night, at the end of the day, the police announced that they are retrieving and they're leaving the streets so that the army or the the Council of Armed Forces in Egypt would take the responsibility of securing the streets in Egypt. At this day, police disappeared from all Egypt. totally disappeared. And they did the most disrespectful thing ever. After disappearing, they opened all the prisons in Egypt and let the criminals out and ordered them to distribute fear in all the Egyptian houses, just to let people go back from Tahrir Square to protect their houses. And still people didn't do that. Afterwards, after the 28th of January, after people started to feel that they can actually score victory against the police, and when they have a cause, they can do whatever they want, they started building a community. They started making a carnival out of Tahrir Square. And actually they started telling jokes about it. This label is saying, please, I'm an addict now. It has been a week since I smelled the tear gas bomb. Please give me more. They started telling jokes about it because they felt their confidence. They were distributing, they were making every possible way to express how they felt. These 4 people said, we're not going to talk before Mubarak leaves. This is Tahrir Square on the 30th or the 31st of January. I was there, and it felt amazing. When they thought that official violence from police did not work, the rulers and Hosni Mubarak tried to trick people into something else. On the 1st of February 2011, Hosni Mubarak made a speech to the Egyptian people, to the Egyptian TV. He said, I promise you, I will not run as president for the next period, but just let me finish this period next September. And as he always promises stuff and always does it, people did not believe him, and he still continued to go to the street. This sign says, half a revolution equals the destruction of a nation. The next day, the 2nd of February, was the darkest day in Egypt's history. This day is called the day of the Battle of the Camel. This is a camel, actually in Tahrir Square, trying to beat the protests, trying to kill them. These people are the thugs of the National Democratic Party and Hosni Mubarak. They did everything possible to protect what they have. Yes, these are actual horses and camels in the streets of Egypt, trying to kill people. And these people this is the 2nd day of February. It was a horrible day. It was a black day in Egypt's history. All these rocks were being thrown back and forth from Tahrir Square and its borders between people who supported Mubarak and people who were actually supporting democracy. And this day, it was either pro-Mubarak or pro-democracy. At this day, I saw at least 10 people dying in front of me. I was in the field hospital, trying to treat people as much as possible. And I saw a doctor being shot in the back. This was the most horrible scene I've ever seen in my life. People tried to protect themselves with everything possible, everything they could. This guy's just for cooking food, and he just to protect himself. People still, as long as they have the will to do what they want, they still continued. Even they saw relatives being killed and shot dead in front of them. They still continued to go to the square. Here, this guy saying, my eye will not go in vain. His eye is gone, and he still went, knowing that he might lose the other one, or even his life. He still went, knowing that he will have what he wants in the end. This sign says, facing the internet revolution with horses and camels and donkeys is a retardation. You're a retarded person. If you can see, these are parts of the things that are put on the horse, to the saddle and stuff. These are said the captures of the Battle of the Camel, and was held in Tahrir Square like this, just to remind people that they can actually do what they want, even if against camels and horses beating them. This is Tahrir Square after the 3rd and the 4th of February. It became more or less like a community, divided into a lot of stuff. There is a place to have water, there is a place for the hospital, a pharmacy, a place for people who want to stay, a people for women to stay, and a place to pray, and clinics all over the place. All the borders of the place was covered with clinics. This place was, there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken place, and they said that this is the KFC clinic. It's marked like this, that every shop in Tahrir Square was closed and was either opened as a pharmacy or as a clinic at this day. Here's toilets, here's a place for the food, here's even a kindergarten for people who are bringing their children just to keep them safe in a place and then participate in the revolution. It was being a community by itself. This is one thing I have never seen in Egypt except in Tahrir Square at this place. They were dividing the garbage into non-organic waste and organic waste. This has never happened in Egypt except on these days. Even now, people tried to be creative as much as possible. Graffitis were made for the first time in the streets of Egypt. This is a song for a very famous singer in Egypt. It says, your love is talking to Egypt. He says, your love is freedom to me. Kites were there, everything. It was like a carnival in Tahrir Square by these days. These are photos of the martyrs that died during the revolution, and there were candles around them and everything. People did signs in every possible way to try to convince people, to convince the whole world that they are not leaving until Hosni Mubarak leaves Egypt. Again, the Tunisian flag beside the Egyptian flag. Our inspiration was always with us every day during the revolution. And one of the moments that shows how much Egypt can be united whenever they want. This is a Christian woman and this is a Muslim woman who is wearing niqab. This is like the extreme uniform of Islam. They were together, shouting the same chants together in the love of Egypt. From all ages was there, from the youngest people of Egypt to the oldest people of Egypt. She could not walk, but she didn't want this moment to pass without her participating in it. From everywhere in Egypt, even participating. This guy is from Upper Egypt, in Aswan or Luxor, if anyone knows the geography of Egypt. This is like the lowest part in Egypt. He says, you better go before the people of Upper Egypt come to you. Because these people know that they do not negotiate. It's either go or you will kill you. So he's telling him, either you better go before they come to you. This is a sign that was hanged on the building in the middle of Tahrir Square. It's like 100 meters tall, just to tell the 7 requests for the revolution that people will not leave the square until it's done. And then Hosni Mubarak did one more stupid thing. He made another speech. On February 10th, he made a speech. People were expecting him that he says, I'm going to leave Egypt. But he just said, I was born on this land and I'm going to die on it and I'm still your president. And this was like the most stupid thing he ever did. People said, okay, you stay where you are, we are coming to the palace. This is how people reacted to the speech in the middle of the square. Reading the shoes, okay, this is how we think your speech is. This was the 11th of February, the photo that I showed you in the beginning of the presentation. This is Tahrir Square at the happiest moment of its life. 9 months have passed since Hosni Mubarak left ruling Egypt and handed the responsibilities to the Supreme Council of Armed Forces, aka the army, or the military junta in Egypt. Supreme Council of Armed Forces is now ruling the country. They made a constitutional announcement in the middle of March, just to cancel the constitution that was currently ruling Egypt, and they cancelled the parliament so that they will make a new elections, supposed to be fair elections, after I don't know how many days or how many months or how many years. They did not announce it yet. The emergency law is still running, and the police is still corrupt, and they still are not working, and they want the Egyptians to forgive what they did and all the killing in order for them to come back to the streets to protect the citizens. Protests are every day in Egypt. And there is a civil war that might be on the doors between Christians and Muslims. Because there are people who are trying to separate people because they know how strong they can be when they are united. Now they are trying everything possible to separate them again. There are no specific dates for elections yet. There is no freedom of speech yet. The media is still corrupt and is still protecting the people who are ruling the country. The National Democratic Party members are running again for elections. Those who ruined our elections for the parliament 2010 are running again, and they were not denied the right to candidate again, which was something that everybody wants. Those policemen who killed the protesters were not put into trials yet. They are still free. After 9 months of the revolution, the revolution is not over. The revolution will continue. Now, we have made an achievement, a big achievement, that we thought that was impossible, by removing one of the most powerful dictators of all time. This is something that we have to be proud of, but we should not lose it for fake reasons. The revolution will continue, and Egyptians have to protect the revolution, or it's going to be stolen from them. Egyptians must have an end to oppression, to bribery, to poverty that's still there, and persecution, corruption, and injustice. Egyptians, if they want the revolution to succeed, they have to find an end to these things, just like as we now here have found an end to this presentation. Thank you so much.
Grazie Ahmad. Grazie. Allora io non faccio